Hi, I'm Debo. Welcome back to Being Your Higher Self. And as you can see by the title today, I wanted to talk about separation consciousness. Now, what is this really? And can we heal from it, if possible? And if so, how? Now, separation consciousness is the way that we address this idea that we are separated from each other and pretty much everything that exists in the universe itself. Now, this is not true, and we can see this correlation, we can see this illusion for what it is, even with our birth parents. Like, if we take the simplest example possible to make it very understandable, is that you don't stop being your mom's and dad's daughter or son, depending, just because they live abroad and you are on someplace else, or just because they passed away and left the earth and you just remained it here. And you're bound. Your bond is based on genetics in the physical realm, but the truth is that this applies on a higher and deeper level with the universe and everything that has been created within it. If we go to scientific research, you will see that pretty much everything that exists, from the stars and the trees and everything, as I already stated in a previous video, I think, we share the four core elements like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Carbon is actually the most rich one in the whole universe. It's like the main one, but doesn't like. I'm not here to teach science, so going back. So this idea that we are separated from each other is actually an illusion that I don't really want to address very deeply, because there is one explanation, and you will find it in many religious textbooks, of this idea that God created both Jesus and Satan as kind of brothers, and that Satan became this consumed with the idea that he could be even more powerful than God, he could be above God. And in doing so, and even trying to take that place, he was punished and sent to earth. And pretty much that's where everything began. Now, it's very interesting because I don't really want to talk much about a subject without it being very well grounded in concepts that you can actually go to and experience with your naked eye and see it without a shadow of a doubt. I don't really want to get into religion or I leave that to whomever is interested in deepening their knowledge, and of course you can come back with it in your comments. That helps us all enrich from one another. But it's very curious that we are on Earth and pretty much we believe that we are the only ones that exist. Like, the universe is gigantic, has so many planets, so many solar systems, and yet we are the only living things that we know of. So even Earth itself is kind of separated from pretty much anything else. Like, if there are other forms of living, there probably should be, even if they are based on something else that is not oxygen and water. Then why has nobody ever come visit us? Or if so, why are they being so shy? But I kind of deviated a little bit, so I will try to refocus myself again on the topic. It's this really simple explanation, actually. You can see this even happening if you have kids or nephews or children that are very, very little, like 2 years old, or even 3. You can see this same rule applying in this small level. That is, the children, when they start growing up and stop being babies and transform themselves into childhood, they oftentimes, pretty much any time, they believe that they are separated from their mother. They have this idea that they are something completely separated and different, and that there is no connection whatsoever. Like a kid was, and this was explained to me by the teachers at my son's kindergarten. Like pretty much between 1 and 2, the baby doesn't really know anything else about anything. It's just like the mother's breast feeds him, is warm. He pretty much feels he's attached to her. They are one. He doesn't, or she, the baby doesn't feel any separation. It's kind of this symbiosis that they are pretty much one. But as the baby grows up, and in doing so, his independence also grows, drives him a little bit away from the mother. This idea in our minds is created that we are separated from, in this case, our primary source, that is our mother and her nurture. But the baby doesn't, like the 1-year-old doesn't understand that he's actually made out of her. The baby has the DNA imprinted from both parents, mother and father. So he's never truly separated. But of course, because babies don't really have that abstract thinking yet, and that abstract thinking won't hit until you're in your teen ages, then it's very difficult to actually explain this. Unless you want to transmit to your baby that comfort that he's not separated as he thinks, he will grow to believe that he is, or she is. And in the same perspective is how we felt about our relationship with God, our Creator, Source, Spirit, whatever name you have for it. But in truth, and even scientists are discovering this, in truth, we are never separated, we are all bound. Because deep down, everything is made out of energy, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's the whole thing about it. So when we come to think about it, even from the most logical perspective or point of view, we can see that we are related to everything, that separation doesn't really exist. But because it was believed to be so for so many years, so many eons, ages, generations, etc., then this idea was passed on. And so were the traumas that came along with it. I find it very interesting that now many scientists are coming to the conclusion that even in your DNA, like even in our DNA, we can have imprinted the trauma of at least 10 generations before us, which is like super crazy. How do we heal this? Well, the first step is to acknowledge that there is a solution. We are not separated. That whoever created you, however you want to call it, it's not like he created or she created you and just toss you into the world and leave you hanging with no tools. No, that's what spiritual awakening is for. That's the twin flame journey for, or the many gurus and ascended masters and spiritual teachers, like the true spiritual teachers, not the one that leads cults. Please be very careful and discerning who you follow. If they preach on separation, they are not interested in your ascension, in your healing, in your union with God. Basically, they are interested in their pockets. Please do be very discerning, because I know that this realm, when it's not really grounded, there's a lot of information, especially today with the internet, so please be careful. If they preach on separation consciousness, they aren't helping you. If they preach on union, that's where you want to go. So, next question. I think it was pretty understandable. Like, separation doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the physical for a baby and its mom. It doesn't exist for any of us with our source and our creator, whichever name you want to call it. So how do we heal this idea of separation that we've been carrying around for so long? For me, you have many ways to go around it, but for me the most efficient one is the mirror exercise I discovered a couple of months ago, and I even made a video for you walking you through the steps so you can put it into practice. You can go after this one, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, and if you want it written down because you're more of a visual person and you need the steps like in paper, you can find it in a blog post that I made on my website. As always, the link you will find it in the in the description of this video. So don't worry, like separation consciousness sounds like a disease that is incurable. It's not the spiritual AIDS or cancer. It's very much curable. The only thing that it requires is your choice to be persistent in your using this tool, that you are honest with it, and especially that you know that you approach it with no judgment, because the mirror exercise, the thing that we'll explain, is this basic principle that you might have heard even in other videos or even self-help books or stuff from other spiritual teachers or people you may have found. It's like the mirror exercise will use the power of your ego, your mind, this idea of yourself that you created to keep you protected from a situation that actually doesn't really exist. As I pointed out, separation doesn't exist, so you're perfectly safe and you're perfectly supported in your journey, even if you don't quite realize it now. But the mirror exercise will help you with this. Assume you are walking down the street and somebody did something that triggered you, that made you upset, and you will start pointing with your finger like, this dude or this person, this woman did this and that to me, and now I'm really pissed off about it. Well, you can see that this one is pointing outside of you, but if you turn a little bit, you will see that there are 3 fingers that are pointing back at you, which means that you are projecting on the outside something that you are holding on to on the inside. And these things that you have been holding on the insides are pretty much everything you have to release and get rid of. Now, it won't happen overnight. It's, as I said, you need persistence. Why? Because you will be peeling off layers of an onion. Layer after layer, you will start seeing yourself through a different light. And the idea with this exercise is that you learn self-love. That's the key ingredient here. Because by choosing self-love, you won't be going outside of you to reach for it. You will be going within. And it's by going within that you can truly connect with the source of your why you've been created. You can connect with God or your Heavenly Father or Mother. And this is very important, because even if you are like super slightly, even remotely spiritual in your daily practice, you are still going outside of yourself looking for things that nobody will be able to ever give you, and you will be paying a very high price to get that. And truth to be told, I don't really want to see any more people going about their lives for 10, 20, even 60 years regretting something they did, because they thought that by taking a choice in one direction they will get what they were looking for, trying to reach outside of themselves. That doesn't really work. And if you are honest with yourself, you will realize that it's not getting you anywhere. So you can take it or leave it. This is what I want to share with you. This is what I think it's important. This is pretty much the same topic I'll be going over and over and over again, because I cannot stress how important it is to stop going outside of ourselves, to find the love and acceptance and validation that we've been craving for ever since we can remember, and instead finding it within ourselves and finding our truth And the truth is that we belong here in this universe, in this planet, around with the people that we are surrounded. We are not victims, and this is something that I will talk about on the next video. And that we hopefully stop choosing the same thing that all the people that came before us chose, and pretty much got us nowhere, only handing this misery gift onto one another, and even finally finding some peace and forgiveness and the love we actually always wanted and that we actually deserve to have. Because, and I will quote my spiritual teacher, Jeff, everyone preached on separation, but nobody wants it. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.